Hey guys! Are you interested in getting an awesome summer internship and wondering what are the steps that you should take in order to go about securing that awesome summer dream job? If so, this video is for you guys. Before we get going though, I want to remind everybody to subscribe to our channel by clicking subscribe below this video and head to our website, SupertutorTV.com/subscribe to subscribe to our mailing list so you can find out all about Super Tutor TV, about our latest videos. Every week when we post, we'll email you. And also, if we have any new products coming out, like the best SAT prep course ever, which is landing this fall, or our ACT books, which we're expecting to release this summer. And we already have our best ACT prep course ever, and that's the best way to prep for the ACT. It's over 50 hours of video tutoring with me. I've scored perfectly on the ACT. I've helped a student score perfectly on it, and I can help you score your best too. So go check it out. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing that you need to do if you want a summer internship is you've got to find one, right? So how do you search? Well, my favorite two websites, which are probably pretty obvious, are Indeed.com and Internships.com. The reason that they're my favorites is that they have the most listed that are probably relevant to you guys. The other place that you can go is you can check out individual companies' websites. So if you know there's a company that's like your dream company to work at, you can also go check out their website as well. Do note that some companies aren't going to hire high school interns because they may only hire college interns, but that doesn't mean that you can't go and look to see if there are any jobs or apply if there are any jobs there. And then the second way that you can search for internships is by talking to people you know. This could be your parents. You could tell your parents, hey, I really want to get into engineering and I would love to intern at something that has something to do with engineering. Do you have any friends, Dad, that are engineers? And maybe your dad does. And maybe he can talk to his friend and maybe his friend can help hook you up, right? Same with your teachers. And I know this is weird to like ask your teachers, but your science teacher might have some buddies from undergrad when he was a chemistry major that are chemists, and maybe they'd be down to have a high school student come and work for them. You can even talk to your friends to see if they have parents who might be good contacts as well. And a third way that you can find an internship is you can sort of cold email or cold call businesses and ask if they have any opportunities available or say, hey, I'd really like to work for you. So even if you go to a company's website and there's no internship listed there, you can still ask the company and say, hey, do you have anything for me? So there's several ways to try to figure out what position you could apply to. And after you've done that, it's time to apply. So how do you do that? Step 2, get your resume on. And what I mean by that is you have to put together a resume. So I'm going to give you a few quick tips for putting together your resume. First, I suggest that you guys find a resume template or find some examples online. There's tons and tons of stuff online that can help you with this. And I will say, like, as an employer, when somebody submits a resume and it looks great and it's clean, wow, that's impressive to me because it says that they have maybe an aesthetic eye or maybe they go the extra mile to make sure everything looks awesome. Canva.com has a bunch of free resume templates. You have to sign up for their site and give them your information, but then you can download like a pretty free resume template. There's a bunch of them here. Find a pretty one, fill it out, put your skills, put your work experience. Another tip for you guys, because you're in high school, education should probably come before work experience. You see like here, this Jordan Smith one has education at the bottom. For you guys, what I would recommend doing is move the education up to the top because education is the most important thing in your life right now. You are high school students. That's what you do. That's the first thing you do. I also recommend if your GPA is good, you should include it. If it's horrible, maybe you don't want to include it. But I always like to see GPA personally, especially when I'm hiring high school students because I don't have a bunch of jobs that you've done before I have your GPA. And then the other thing that you want to do, you want to include any relevant job experience or what I would call project experience. So if you have leadership or project experience, sometimes you can use that as a stand-in for a job because I know some of you have never had a job before and you're trying to apply for a job and so you're like, oh my God, how do I do this? Well, if you've been president of the newspaper at school and you're applying for an internship at the LA Times, well, that's super relevant. So put it on there. The other thing that you want to look at is like these desirable qualifications, excellent written and oral communication skills. That means they want to know that you have oral communication skills. Definitely talk about your speech and debate then, if you've done that. Definitely talk about the fact that, oh yeah, I worked at the high school newspaper. That could come in handy because they would know that you would have more writing experience. Let's say you won a writing competition or something last year. Definitely put that in if they want a writer. And then at the bottom of your resume, you can add in skills, software, things that you know, stuff like that, okay? The other tip that I'm going to say is, number 3, is write a nice cover letter. A cover letter is just a fancy way of saying a note that goes along with your application. I know when people apply for jobs that we put out from our company, I want to know that people are actually interested in what it is that we do, or that they've actually looked up our company, or that they know who we are and what we're about, right? So it's really important that you write a letter that, one, expresses your interest in the company and the fact that you read what they're looking for, okay? If you're applying to the Superior Court of Los Angeles, then you want to talk about how you're really interested in law. Don't talk about how you're interested in medicine. I know that sounds obvious. And don't just send the same letter to every company, and make sure that you don't forget to change the company name at the top, because that's happened to me several times where I get a cover letter, especially when you're applying through like internships.com. They have like this thing where you can save the cover letter, and oftentimes students save the cover letter and they forget to edit it, and it says like to some other tutoring company or something. And like, trust me, that does not impress me, and I'm not like gunning to hire that person ever, because I think they have no attention to detail. So be careful, make sure you proofread for any typos or any misspellings. Double check, triple check what you turn in. Your cover letter should also basically tell a company that you are what they're looking for. People want to know, how can you help them? They don't want you to just brag about your own story. That's not what the purpose of a cover letter is. Look at what they want and tell them you are what they want. That's the goal. It's not to brag about you. It's not to wax poetic about your passion. I don't care. And how you've known you wanted to be a lawyer since you were 10. That might be true, and you can mention that, but only insofar as it will help them, because they know that you're actually interested in what they're doing. It's about them. It's not about you, okay? And then finally, after you've written an awesome cover letter, seal the deal. Hopefully with an interview and some politeness that goes with the rest of the process. So if you are lucky enough to get an interview, awesome. And if you're landing an interview, it's not a great idea to be really high maintenance on the front end of trying to get a job, if you know what I mean. So like, if you write 7 questions to an employer and say, hey, I was wondering, like, what time is my lunch break? And like, blah, 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 and like all these questions, an employer is likely to just ignore you and you're not going to get the job. So don't ask too many questions on the front end. Be enthusiastic, be easy to work with, come in with a good attitude. And then you can ask some of those questions on your interview day if you do get an interview, but it's not necessarily appropriate beyond very like basic elements, which most employers are going to include that information in their post. Now, scheduling can be like another thing. Like if you're only available the first 4 weeks of the summer or something, you might include that information in your cover letter. But sometimes the better route to go is to share the information that you have or the limitations that you have, rather than trying to ask questions and not tell people why you're asking those questions, if that makes sense. You want to make the job of the employer easy for them. It's also a good idea. You can send a follow-up email after you send in your resume if you don't hear back, and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know I'm really interested in that job. That sometimes can be an extra nudge. And if that extra nudge doesn't work, it means they're probably not interested in you, and that's fine. Move on. Finally, my last point about internships, my point number 5, is don't get taken advantage of. Not all internships are created equal, in the same way that not all volunteer experiences are created equal. I want to warn you guys to just be really careful, especially about unpaid internships. Though unpaid internships are legal in some parts of the country and in some circumstances, typically an unpaid internship should be for your benefit more than the company's benefit. And I think it's rare to find an unpaid internship that actually adheres to those principles. It doesn't mean they don't exist, but protect yourself. If you do get an internship and you feel like you're being taken advantage of, feel free to speak out or feel free to quit. You know, if they're just having you like clean up the dishes every day and like sit around and you're not getting anything out of it, it's probably not that valuable. But that's also why you can ask questions at your interview and try to figure out if it's the kind of experience that's actually going to push the needle forward and help you understand better some sort of work that you might be interested in when you get out of college. Talk to your parents about it. You can even talk to your guidance counselor at school, and just make sure whatever you're doing is actually going to help you learn more about the world around you, and that you're not just paying your dues to some organization that really is just making you do thankless work and isn't actually going to help you or mentor you, or at least give you a kind of more interesting summer job than scooping ice cream at Cold Stone Creamery. And that's about it for today. Good luck finding an internship if that's what you're looking for. And I will see you guys later on Super Tutor TV. Thanks for watching.